Hello guys and welcome back to Commander the Great War with our Entente playthrough. This episode we're going to be dealing with the winter which has set in and left us in a couple of pretty tight situations and try to make the best out of them without sacrificing anything too big. The first place I should probably address is Serbia. Now in Serbia, last turn they went pretty heavy on fucking with this infantry unit and have even gotten its efficiency down to 5, and that is no bueno. So we're gonna back this bitch up a hex down to 4 because winter, but it gives it a chance to repair, and if I leave it sitting here for a couple turns, this will go back to 10. In the meantime, I'm gonna move a garrison in that is full health and now 9 efficiency to absorb any blows. Hopefully it's enough. I have the one on Kraljevo if I desperately need another one. Also, just to make them think twice about attacking this core, they only have one army on this whole thing and it's right here. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot it with an arty piece. Do no damage but some efficiency, which is better than nothing. I won't attack it more than likely, but I just want to make it regret thinking of attacking or refrain from thinking of attacking if possible. Let's move our attention down to Egypt because this will be a pretty easy place to take care of. I'm going to move this infantry a little to the southeast. Hurt its efficiency, but oh well. I'm going to move the the Anzac forces, which I just realized are renamed now because I put a commander on them. But these are the Anzac forces into their place because they couldn't actually reach here this turn, but these guys could, and I figured we could just sit down and relax while we wait for an ability to attack, our efficiency to come back. These guys are going to repair back up to full strength. Their efficiency is also down to 8. The whole line's down to 8. They were attacking this arty piece. They don't have a whole lot on this border that I have to worry about. And infantry that we were initially making as the 3rd infantry piece that was to go here is done. You know, before the Anzac forces showed up. So I'm going to place that down. Maybe be able to move it in and out should we desperately need to or whatever. Am I producing any more infantry? Shame. I was going to say one more infantry. I'd have a perfect amount to swap in and out should I ever need to in order to have one regain its efficiency. We have a quite dangerous situation here on the Ottoman front, a teetering situation at that. They have gone all out in attacking Sarikamish, desperate to take it, but it's left them weakened, but it's also left me weakened. I'm going to take this infantry that I built here and I'm going to move it forward. We're going to attack this garrison with it. We dealt 2, we lost none. Alright, that's pretty good, I guess. We're going to move this commander down into Sarikamish, and we're going to try to repair this small garrison. This small garrison is like out of efficiency, and I didn't want him to just get attacked and destroyed or chased off. I want the town to hold. And there we go. I took the army at Sarikamish, and I have attacked the infantry that have been attacking it. We dealt 3 damage, despite it saying we would only deal like 2, and we lost none, despite it saying that we would lose 1. Maybe not the best usage of these forces, but I want to deal damage. I want to make them hurt. I want to make them retreat, if possible, now that their efficiency is so battered. And mine, overall, could be doing worse. They may outnumber me with 2 armies and 2 corps to my 2 armies, and it's a garrison, a small garrison, no regular sized garrisons whatsoever. But hopefully this is enough because I don't have any more troops done. The only other thing I have left to deploy is a British submarine. So let's go actually deal with that right now. This British submarine, I would like to send probably up here to guard against northbound or southbound, I guess, convoys from Norway. So we're going to deploy that right there. And now we have some ships here we have to get back on the front line. We have 2 ships, I guess. An armored cruiser and a light cruiser. Let me try to remember where the hell these go. The light cruiser clearly goes with this guy, and I guess the armored cruiser does as well. I'll have 3 light cruisers and an armored cruiser. There's something missing here. Ah yes, there was something missing here. There's another armored cruiser done, and this dreadnought actually belongs with this force. So I gotta figure out how to get these all back into place now. Well, let's go ahead and get some light cruisers moving up and blocking off this pass. And we are going to have to get this light cruiser headed in that direction. This armored cruiser, one of them needs to rejoin this formation, but we'll take this dreadnought and we will go plug it in right here, let's say. This is a little more forward than I originally had it, but hopefully it's not too forward. This dreadnought will move up here. Armored cruisers, armored cruisers. I guess this one will move up this way with the light cruiser, and this one will settle into place in this formation to guard just this little alley. I may end up moving this back a little bit, but this is just a nice little choke point while I'm lacking my full formation for the time being. Let's see what there is to deal with on the Western Front a little bit here. So let's take this artillery and immediately just shell the infantry sitting here outside of Brussels. They currently have 5 efficiency, and now they have 4. Better than nothing, but their defenses are tough, and they will be tough to break through. One thing I'm going to do is move the BEF out of harm's way. Not completely out of harm's way, but mostly. They can still be attacked by Brussels, the force at Brussels, but they have 2 efficiency instead of 1 at least. And this allows them to access a retreat route by land should I need to do that. They're still guarded in basically all directions. And the point is, I want to get more forces here that can actually attack this grassland right here, Hex. Let's strafe it with my fighters, which we have done nothing of great importance by doing that, but we have seen they have a fighter that is intercepting us. They intercepted this last time, and now I don't know how this works, but I'm going to try something. If he's already guarded against the fighter, what if I use the airship? It cannot guard against both. So the efficiency is down to 3. Okay, good. Let's see how we're going to do this attack now. Let's start with the Commander Joffrey here. That's probably the smartest way to go about this, given the location. We're going to attack. We lost 2, dealt 2. That's a fair trade in my book. We'll take, let's see, the commander that just moved in, Commander Nivelle, and attack. I mean, they're down to 2 now, efficiency. We dealt 2, we lost 1. Alright, the odds are getting better. They're down to 0 efficiency. They have no efficiency whatsoever. Ideally, that means they cannot fight back. They can, clearly. We'll take this infantry and attack as well. We lost 1. We dealt 5. They're done. They're done. They're gone. We got them. We got one of the infantry during the winter, might I add. We got one of the infantry defending Brussels. We will now move up, and that means we now need less total troops, I guess. Well, I guess it's about the same. But we've now fully encircled Brussels itself. Brussels, which is having no issues with supply, and we certainly cannot hope to attack them right now. They will almost certainly attack the BEF, but the BEF has 2 efficiency. It can and should, and hopefully will, survive just fine. When Brussels is reclaimed, Belgium will be able to retake its industry and start producing units again, and I will figure out what the hell to do with that. Now, I remember something very interesting happening last turn on the Western Front. They backed a lot of their units out, especially in the south. Even if it's just to Stuttgart, it's still a pretty big deal, I believe, because they've left even some fortifications in a grassland just open for anybody to waltz into. So I'm gonna waltz right into these fortifications, and we even found at a group of airships, actually, they have nothing on Stuttgart. My troops here are all rested, their efficiency is all full, so I can afford to move them should I like, so long as I make sure to defend against encroaching forces from the north, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. I'm being honest, I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. So I'm going to take this infantry as well, and I'm going to move it forward. Pretty interesting situation here. We have an Austrian infantry dug in just outside of Innsbruck. We have this fighter unit that is just on the verge of death. And an airship, a level 2 airship, as opposed to a level 1 fighter. Yeah, I guess Germany was known for its airships. The problem about Germany's airships was they were all filled with, what was it, hydrogen, as opposed to airships from the Allies who were all filled with helium, which I feel like their airships should be level 1 and everyone else's should be level 2 because of that. Because their airships were way more prone to just combusting, because helium doesn't do that. hydrogen does. Either way, I will take this infantry and I will attack this fighter. We dealt 7 damage, completely wiped out one of their fighter groups. I will not advance any further because that's just a stupid idea. It's probably not going to be needed, but I'm just going to assert my dominance over this rail line and kind of redraw this front by moving my cavalry down here. They're not going to attack or anything. I don't want to drive this garrison out currently necessarily. I mean, I could try, but I just want to get better line of sight and also, again, redraw this front. I'm not too worried if they push because I have fully rested garrisons at all of these locations. It's not really too big of an issue. I could strafe and try to weaken this garrison, but I mean, they're not even sitting on Stuttgart. They'll either move and defend a more logical location to defend, or they'll just get their asses beat. So, shrug. I'm not really too worried about it. I am going to move, however, this fighter up north. Let me see. 1 or west? East. God, can I direction? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Pretty good reach from here. I don't want to move it too close to the front. Leave room for the enemies to kind of, well, my men to retreat. The enemies to attack my men and leave them room to retreat. So I'm going to move forward into these fortifications where they're safe along the border with Switzerland. We can see a lot more stuff over here. Yep, they have troops near Italy, all right. And we can even see there's an Italian garrison. This is stuff we will gain access to in about 10 turns. Any Italian troops here. And the Austrians are not shirking this border, though it's mainly small garrisons on it by the looks of it. And a lot of their cities seem to be open because they're utilizing all their small garrisons. I'm leaving garrisons to defend cities. The enemies seem to be in such a desperate situation, or, you know, realistically they're just coded to do this, to abandon their cities and use whatever troops they can on the front. I don't know if this is generally the wisest thing I can do in this front, but I'm sure they'll scramble and defend Stuttgart now that I've approached it. I'm going to go ahead and take this infantry and attack this airship. We lost 1, we dealt 2. Overall, theoretically fair losses. We did amazing damage to their efficiency, and our own forces aren't in too bad of a shape either. This should at least make them retreat the airship, which they will. They will retreat the airship. They should be scrambling a lot now that I pushed up and claimed just so much land. The Western Front this turn has gone a lot better than I hoped it would. The big things to worry about really are if they get aggressive here, they could do a lot, I think, if they got aggressive here. And if anything super terrible happens to the BEF. But I believe if this infantry does attack, that will at least lower its efficiency. So as long as the BEF makes it out with minor scratches, then the situation won't end up being too terrible. Now for the Eastern Front. A lot of my troops on this front have recently been moved and are maybe needing some efficiency, but the enemies have been moving troops around a lot as well. We're going to repair this core garrison for sure, because it just needs to sit still and recoup its efficiency. They've done an interesting thing here, like they've opened this up. They wouldn't gain anything from pushing up here though, except some fortifications. I had kind of started wrapping around them. I didn't have the men to really go with some kind of major assault over here. The only thing I can really harm is a small garrison, but that's never efficient because they can repair those for free. I essentially just need to be able to sit down and hold this line. So let's go ahead and move this garrison up into its fortifications and repair that as well. We'll probably play mostly defensive here in the south. The north is where we have a lot more in the way of opportunities. I'm just looking around to make sure I'm not missing anything special. The Dreadnought is not in its dock, so we're going to go ahead and place that on its dock. We've already reviewed the Ottoman front. I've moved everything there I can except for this garrison, but I don't want to play offensive with this garrison, so... The northern front. Now, we have von Mackensen leading the enemy troops in the front. This is a big German force. 5 full-strength German infantry. That's huge. But they're piled up around Posen. It's not the biggest threat as a result, but they're all buffed by this commander. Now that means basically most of their eastern might is right here. Well, half of it, approximately. Interesting how they just left so much stuff open here. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try and successfully strafe this infantry. Currently has 5 efficiency. And this is the commander, keep in mind. I wonder if we could do any real damage here. this turn. I mean, as long as I'm not attacking any entrenched infantry, theoretically we could. Let's experiment. Let's take the infantry that is currently guarding the rail line south of Warsaw and move it forward. Okay, odds aren't the greatest, but they aren't the worst. We have some buffs currently in this area, but we could have more. We could have more, theoretically. Yes. If I move Udenik up... Okay, this is looking even better now. The real kicker is going to be right here, where this cavalry currently sits. Well, tell you what, the first thing this cavalry is going to do is move off of here. We are going to actually move south, as far south as we can, and take this fortification that they have left us. I'm going to take the train from Königsberg, march it down to where the cavalry was. Now we have this to aid in this assault. Now there's a lot of things to consider pushing in this direction, but I will go ahead and take Udenik and we will attack this infantry. We lost one, we dealt one. We're down to 7, which is iffy, but we're not too surrounded, and I can cover these flanks a little better, honestly. And I think I will. I'm going to proceed with these attacks. Again, their efficiency is not doing too great either. I'm going to move this garrison forward. It may seem a little risky, but you'll see my line of thinking here in a moment. I don't know if artillery can attack the same turn when they move, but I'm going to move this artillery forward a touch. Yeah, they can't attack when they move. They didn't lose any efficiency anyhow. And neither did this guy. Very strange. I'm going to take this infantry and I'm going to move it up here. And now we've taken some of the fortifications that they have left behind for us. So we're already entrenched here. Especially this infantry, the Warsaw force, is already very entrenched. I can even move forward with this train now and take some of their other territory here. But first, let's focus our attention on von Mackensen here, who currently has no line of retreat. We are going to take this infantry next and attack. We lost one, we dealt one, but they're down to 2. This one's down to 7. This was looking better and better, although we only get one more attack and I saved the armored train for last. I will attack now with the armored train. We dealt 2, we lost 1 by the looks of it, but they are down to 0. Really, one more attack is all it would need to completely rout them. Certainly, they will move this force and retreat with it somewhere. Probably right onto Posen. They'll probably swap the units out. But this troop is very disabled, and this is their main troop, and I may be able to snipe it. I'm thinking how I could go about this, and it is possible my cavalry could get a chance to snipe this unit, but we'll see. I'm going to move this infantry led by Brusilov forward as well. And he has moved into enemy territory. I think it went from 9 to 7, just like that. I feel like it's based on if territory is controlled by enemies, but I don't know. I can't find any consistency to this. Either way, I'm not attacking and pushing super heavily right now. The AI is usually more focused with its aggressiveness, so I'm not too worried about this situation. I have artillery, I have this here. I'm going to take this armored train and move it forward like I said I would. Now we've moved that into enemy territory. Closing on Stettin. Usually what the enemy would do in a situation like this is see that I'm approaching Stettin and scramble to get a bunch of units over there or something. I don't need to do this, but I want to claim this little thing right here. I'm going to rename this garrison Danzig Defense, so that I remember to return it to Danzig next. But I'm going to go claim this so they can't pull any flanky nonsense. One thing this is making very evident to me is that I need more fucking troops for this front. I need more infantry and I need more garrisons as well, if I'm being honest. I need a little bit more of both. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to purchase with Russia a infantry force, and I'm going to purchase a garrison force. And both of them will probably be deployed up here. I need garrisons. They are good for holding things, but mainly I need them to fill in the spots I leave behind me. Oh my god. These are a lot of level 3 infantry. A lot of the German infantry is now level 3. Why is that? I haven't gotten any upgrades. They must be like rushing their infantry tech. They have a good advantage over us, but we're still beating them. Like, we're just closing in on them despite that technological advantage. That's interesting. The last thing I'm going to do, just to keep them extra worried, is actually move this line forward a little bit still. You know, I think upgrades cost money. I feel like their infantry upgrades are costing them a good amount of money. But I move this line forward a little bit further, and it's against the river now. I just want to make them scramble on all fronts, if possible. Because if they're scrambling, they won't be able to mount an effective resistance to what I'm doing. And if they're scrambling, which they have been lately, they'll waste a lot of efficiency in the middle of the winter doing a bunch of really stupid shit. This was very ballsy of me, this maneuver right here. And our overall front is a little stretched and maybe a little weak because of it. However, their most important unit here is one shot from dead. So this may pay off. It may not. This may end terribly. Who knows? I guess we'll have to end our turn and find out. And since I have nothing else to do this turn, I'm not going to use any of these points. We have nothing else to produce. Next turn, we get another British plane. And 10 turns roughly till Italy. Let's end our turn. Cross our fingers. My ballsiness doesn't hurt. The convoys can go right through submarines. I did not know that. Okay. Fresh Ottoman forces are showing themselves. They have a lot of troops up there. They moved the artillery off the southern frontier. That's unfortunate. The Ottoman front with the Russians complicates. Okay, they are thankfully not focusing their forces on this front where I feared they would. They are scrambling just like I hoped they would. So they're falling like right into my trap. Really. They've moved out that one German infantry on the Serbian front that I harmed and replaced it with an Austrian cavalry. And they're putting more garrisons on that front. They're desperate for these infantry. They know they're not holding their line. It's too big. It's too big and they can't hold it. They did big damage to the BEF, and that's unfortunate after focusing some strafing maneuvers and an attack from Brussels. Again, unfortunate. An Austrian submarine has shown itself. Oh my god. Attacking our convoys. I didn't know Austria had submarines. Well, anti-torpedo bulge. Well, that's good, man. We got the bulge. I now have a fighter pilot for France. I don't even know what to do with that because I don't have another plane for France. Well, I did get another commander. I'm going to go ahead and deploy that right down here where it's most needed currently. Pétain, Commander Pétain. That's pretty good. And as for this fighter for the Brits, I believe this one was being produced for this front here. So we're going to go ahead and move it. It's probably not really needed down here, but what the fuck? That's a lot of Ottomans. Holy shit. Alright, so the first thing I want to do this turn is immediately get attacking this convoy that is phased through my blockade that I did not know they could do that. So I'm going to stick both of these subs on this convoy, and it's not doing the damage I hoped it would do. But luckily I have more submarines. Weird how they can just phase through you like that. Whatever. I got more subs. So I don't need to risk the Russian ships. I can just envelop and destroy. Wow, we're going to need a lot of submarines for these tasks here. Let's go ahead and move this submarine towards Norway to keep an eye on that. No incoming convoys currently. There's this Austrian sub that's completely out of efficiency over here. This makes me realize I should also have airships on Western France, because if their subs can get over here, they can threaten over there, too. They may come closer as well. Something I'll need to keep an eye on. How's the BEF? They're down to 1 singular efficiency point. They took some big damage, that's for sure. I think they were at 9. I think they took 4 damage. That's really unfortunate. I'm going to go ahead and just, you know, repair where they are at the moment. Seems to be overall the best thing I could hope to really do. I'm going to go ahead and arty with these French arty Brussels. We dealt 1 damage, took away another efficiency point from them. I'm sure these fighters are still over here ready to get on my nerves should I try to strafe with the fighters, but you know how that goes. So I'm going to actually strafe. And I'm going to try to bomb again. Air raids. Aerial bombardment is called widespread panic in the city. In addition to the material damage, the resulting panic has an additional impact on morale and production output. Oh, I didn't know that. So there are unique bombing things that affect cities. It affects their morale, quote unquote. It affects their supply production. So if you bomb a city, you could technically starve it out just by doing that. It's actually pretty cool. One thing I'm going to have to do is protect the BEF. So the Canadian Expeditionary Force is going to go around there to protect them. And this garrison is going to fill in the hole that opened right there. You don't really have a good opportunity in order to press an attack on Brussels right now. So we're probably just going to use this time to repair and get our ship back together. It's currently the 4th of February, so we're getting through the winter for sure. Maybe another turn or two until we run out of winter months. Just as I had predicted, they are scrambling everywhere, desperately. And so I'm going to take this infantry, I'm going to move it east to the fortifications that they have just kindly left me in this forest, just next to Stuttgart. It also seems they've left a garrison out in the open. This must be a mistake. We will take advantage of it by attacking. We lost 1, we dealt 2, and our efficiency is doing great, honestly. So is theirs, but we dealt a little bit of damage, and that's kind of nice. I don't plan to really push too much around Stuttgart. We're just going to hold this. I'm going to go ahead and repair this unit so that they have a chance to rest, sit down, relax. I do want to scare the shit out of them, though, because this AI responds hilariously to fear. So I'm going to actually move this cavalry north, take these fortifications that they left open, right next to Frankfurt, where they'll have to scramble to get troops down to now. I'm going to move this infantry forward as well, and we have a nice eastern wall. Mr. Gorbachev would be proud. This whole area is open, but they don't seem very aggressive on attacking right now. They seem aggressive on holding their lines. And now there's a lot of stuff we can play with here as a result. They're not stopping us from taking Brussels except for their valiant defense of it, which is giving us more losses than I would otherwise like. But again, once we have it, Belgium will be back in the war, and that's going to count for something. I think I'll take this garrison here, and I'll move it onto this rail line so they don't just blitz through it or anything. And as for the fighter here, I think we'll go for the enemy fighter. I don't know if fighters can escort fighters, but we're about to find out. Okay, it doesn't appear they can. We dealt 1 damage, we lost none. I didn't want to go for the airship because, damaged or not, the fighters are going to escort it, and I don't want to piss them off. And they have a lot of fighters on this border. I did say I'd probably move this naval force back, and I will. We're going to move this dreadnought here. We're going to move this dreadnought up your ass? Fuck, I don't know. Move it north a little bit. I'm not quite sure how I want this to be. Looks like we can blockade this. Okay, that's not going to work like that. We're going to move this up here, though. And we will take this light cruiser and stuff it right here. And the armored cruiser will go next to it so that our dreadnoughts are perfectly protected and we have a nice shielding force. Probably a more efficient shielding force than I had the first time I set anything up around here. That's nice. As for this submarine, there's not a lot I can do to stop it this turn. I'm probably just going to leave it where it is. It'll show its face again probably. Next turn, France is going to get a convoy. 2 turns from now, I guess the UK will get one as well. This is good. This will help me stir some production. That's for sure. On the topic of this Ottoman front, I don't really know what to do. They're pushing pretty heavily and we don't really have room to attack right now. We just kind of have to sit down and recover a little bit. The problem is this small garrison's about to die, and I don't think there's anything I can do to save it. They're probably going to attack it next turn, and it will die if we sit it here and let it get attacked. However, if we move it, we could maybe save it. But realistically, they'll just take their garrison, they'll move into the mountains, and they will attack from there. Right? That makes sense. That's what they would probably do. So, I don't really know what to do to save it. I don't think we can save it. I think this area is going to get slowly pushed back. Looks like Sarakimish's supply is already giving out. For now, we can hold this position, so I'm going to go ahead and repair this, as futile as that may be. We will need more Russian forces, not just for the Eastern Front, but for the Ottoman Front. But since most of this is fucking useless, I'm not afraid to lose some of it to them, as long as I'm not losing a bunch of troops. It's if they got up here I'd start getting worried. Even then, most of this is useless. But what we are gaining here is pretty valuable. Pretty valuable land, and it harms our main enemies. Of course, I am now seeing the Ottomans are a bigger enemy than I gave them credit for. Looking down here on the Egyptian front, I'm going to do nothing. There's nothing I can do. I just have to wait right now, recover my efficiency, and hope for the best. We'll take another turn or two. We're going to sit down and wait here as well, but soon this is probably going to get destroyed. They're probably going to wrap around us, and realistically, I'm just going to have to rail back to Tiflis and make a front up here that I guard and hold and try to hold them back a little bit longer. You know, I don't think I've lost any cities at all during this war. Not yet. I haven't. With the exception of, you know, Belgium, I guess. But that's a little... Can't do anything about that. But I think that Sarikamish is going to be the big first loss that I would lose from one of my major powers. And that's unfortunate. That doesn't sit well with me. Well, all I have to do now is the Serbian and the Eastern fronts, and then look at my points, but that's all the time I have for this episode. We'll continue this turn on the next episode. But for now, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.